This right now. Welcome. I am Dr. Emily, and I am super excited to welcome you tonight. We are going to be talking about how you can become an elite tech innovator in the next 6 months. So, we're going to look at months, not years. So, I love seeing where you're from. Thank you, everyone, for popping in the chat. I see, Scott from California, Christina from Florida, Cheryl from Georgia. Welcome. So, I'm from Northern New Jersey, outside of New York City. And I'm Dr. Emily. I used to be a computer science professor, and I've been training elite software developers for literally over a decade now. I've graduated dozens and dozens of them. And so tonight, I'm going to share with you everything that I know about how you can become that elite software developer, that elite tech innovator. And why do you want to become a tech innovator? Because tech innovators, they don't apply for jobs, they're invited. So just think about that for a second of having skills that are so in demand that you just hop from position to position. You don't actually need to apply. It's incredible. So super excited to see you guys. Awesome sauce. I'm just going to make sure that my door is locked before we get started here. Yes, it is. Awesome. So we don't get any little interruptions since we're doing this in the evening. Awesome sauce, folks. So I have a question for you. I have a question for you. If you're here tonight, who is ready to become an elite software developer in the next year? Can you guys just raise your hands, type it in the chat? Just let me know where you're at. I want to see who my action takers are in the house and like who is going on this journey. Where are my innovators, right? Who's here to solve tomorrow's problems? Awesome. I see it. Scott is excellent. Uh-oh. Is Scott the only one? Oh, good. Cheryl's ready. Good. I want to make sure you guys are here for that. Christina, Deona, so good, folks. So good. Because this is really next level. I have never shared this. I have never shared this before tonight. Okay, folks? So, like, you're in for a treat. I'm super excited. And what if in the next 6 months, you could become such an elite software developer that you were in demand, where you didn't have to apply for jobs anymore because you're getting invited? Would you guys want that roadmap? So give me an emoji, type in the chat, raise your hand with a Zoom reaction. Just let me know. All right, let me know. Awesome. Christina's in. So, so good. So, so good. Raul's in. Love it. Diona's in. Now, before we dive in, is it cool if I share just a little bit about why I'm talking to you about this today? I think most of the people here know me and have seen a training before, but just in case, I think it's helpful to share where this information is coming from that I'm giving to you. Is that cool, guys? Just give me a thumbs up. Give me a quick nod in the chat, right? Just want to make sure that's cool with you guys. Okay, sweet. Let's do it. So, who am I? Just in case you don't know, if you've seen me before, again, I'm Dr. Emily Hill, and I am a former computer science professor. I was the program director at my university. I was tenured. And so I led the computer science curriculum. I decided what every computer science major learned while they were at my university. I also pioneered and created a brand new innovation program that had never existed before. And in fact, this is why I became an entrepreneur, because I started this innovation program and I was super excited and I was super into it. And I taught everything that I could learning from books. And then I realized I had to do it, right? This is the first time I've shared this. I don't think a lot of people know this part behind the scenes is that I started an innovation program and I realized that I'd reached the limit of how far I could teach my students without actually building a business myself. And so I did. Okay. And along the way, in this process, I graduated dozens and dozens of elite and six-figure software developers. Notice I said and, right? Not every six-figure software developer is elite. That is not a requirement. And in fact, that's why I've created a whole virtual coding school where we help anybody get a tech job. And in the past year, everybody's gotten six-figure offers that's graduated. So pretty incredible, pretty incredible. But I've graduated my fair share of elite software developers as well. And now I've got years and years of data on them and how they've progressed in their careers. I'm going to share some of that with you tonight. Okay. In addition, I'm a founder, a business owner of a multiple seven-figure business. And so now I also coach entrepreneurs and tech founders. So if you're someone here who's interested in starting your own company, starting your own business, maybe starting your own app or SaaS product, tonight, what I'm going to talk about tonight also applies to you. Okay. It's not just for elite developers developers working for other companies. It can also be those unicorns that become tech founders as well. Usually I'm working with tech founders who are they're coming to us as clients looking for our tech talent, right? I have a software company as well as a training company. I'm also, in my free spare time, I'm a mom of five and a church singer as a side hustle. So just for fun, right? Super, super awesome. So I do things outside of tech. You know me, I like the quiet life. I take it easy. Uh-huh. Yeah, just kidding. All right. So what we're going to talk about tonight, right, is this is all in my genius zone. So let me just take one more second to share like what ties all of these things together, right? So my specific genius zone that I'm bringing to you tonight is that I specialize in three things: teaching, transformation, and connections. So I help build communities. I help teach people how to get from here to there and what they need to know, the minimum, most impactful things they need to know to get from here to there. But the other big thing I teach is transformation. So I'm not for everybody. I think some of my students know this because the students that have worked with me have loved it. And the ones that do love it, it's usually because they are ready to transform, to level up. And so that's really what we're talking about today in this training is how do you level up? So this is all squarely in my genius zone. Another way to say that is that I get things moving. I get people moving, I get people going, and that's what we're going to do tonight, right? Our goal tonight is to see like, is this for you? Is becoming an elite software developer something that you really want to dive into? All right. And it's a transformation, right? It is totally a transformational process. So, who is this transformation for, right? Who is this for? So, it's for someone with some coding experience. What that could look like is you might have a college tech degree. You might have gone to a coding boot camp. You might have had a coding job or have one now. You might have completed some tech interview prep, right? So, it doesn't necessarily, there's many, many pathways in. This looks like you enjoy solving tech challenges for fun. Like the best elite software developers I know, what gets them out of bed in the morning is solving that problem, of feeling that high, that exhilaration of like, yes, I got it. I was banging my head against the wall and I fixed it, or I was working on that really hard for a long time and now I've got it, right? That it's more about the solution to the problem, right, than necessarily the paycheck at the end of the day, right? It's really for people who love tech and just love doing this. And it's also for people who know that you are your own best investment, right? The best investment you can make is in yourself. It's also for you if you're an aspiring tech founder. Okay, if you're an aspiring tech founder, that works too. So, who is this not for? Okay, so if you are still a beginner coder and you're like just getting the hang of things, like maybe you just started doing variables, loops, or functions, this is not for you yet. It could be for you in the future. So, what I would recommend is if you're a beginner listening in, do some learning first and save these ideas I'm going to share with you tonight for later. Okay, for later. This is not for you if you've got absolutely no coding experience. If you'd like to get into coding, don't worry, I can help you get started. But this particular vehicle that I'm sharing with you tonight, this approach is really designed for people that have already have some coding experience and want to level up. Okay. So if any of you know me, you know I founded the Tech Joy Career Academy where we start off coders and we help them get tech jobs, right? This would come after that, like the pathway that I'm sharing with you tonight. So if you've got a tech degree, if you've gone to a coding boot camp, like you've dabbled with some coding before, you like kind of know your way around coding, this is for you, right? This will take you from mediocre to incredible, right? That's what this is about tonight, this pathway. This is not for you if you're only interested in earning six figures, because to be honest, six figures in tech is often the baseline, right? In the past year, all of the students that have graduated from my academy, which is designed for beginners, they all got six-figure offers. So, to be honest, like if just hitting six figures is all you're motivated to do, you don't want to follow this pathway that I'm going to share with you tonight. This pathway is for people that love tech, that are really excited to solve problems, that are really passionate about creating technology that's never existed before, about being an innovator, creating programs and apps that are brand new that transform our lives. That's who this is for. That's who becoming an elite software developer is really for. And yes, Dave, SQL counts, although SQL is not a programming language, it's a database querying language. So what I would look for, Dave, in conjunction with that is familiarity with loops, functions, variables, things like that. SQL has them, but it's not part of the standard. All right, so I'd want to just make sure you've got that. Okay, excellent. Excellent. And this is not for you if you want a job guarantee, right? This is a totally different bird, right? We are looking to level up, right? This is where you're good and you want to be better or the best. Like that's who this is for tonight. Okay, this pathway. And it's accessible to anyone, right? It's accessible to anyone. And so I'm going to share with you how you can use these tools to really level up and become that elite software developer. All right. So just out of curiosity, anyone here who thinks they fit this? Who thinks they fit this bill of becoming an elite software developer? I'm just curious because I've never given this talk before. So I'm just curious where we're at so I can make sure that I'm tailoring what I'm speaking about tonight to you guys. So just give me an emoji reaction, drop me a note in the chat. Let me know who thinks they have some coding experience and becoming an elite coder is something that they're interested in. Awesome, Tammy. Love it. Love it. Uh-oh, only Tammy? I love creating websites. Would love to do it full time. Awesome, Gina. That's awesome. Yep. Sweet. Okay, good. Big knee. Great. Awesome. A couple of people. At least a couple of people. Good. Hopefully by the end, we'll have a couple more. Awesome. Nathan, wonderful. Oh, good. You've got some experience. Wonderful. And again, just to reiterate, if you're a beginner and you're interested in learning more about how we prepare people for tech careers, you can just text us back at the number where you got the Zoom link and we can get you hooked up. So no worries there. But tonight, my focus is really on, okay, you're good. Let's make you great. All right, that's what we're here for. Super awesome. No worries, thank me. We can help you out with that too. You can still watch tonight. Tonight is totally accessible, but the pathway I'm sharing is only appropriate once you have a base level of coding knowledge. Before that point, I have a different vehicle for you I can help you out with. All right, super awesome. Okay, so our goal tonight together, again, once a professor, always a professor, right? Our objective, our goal is that by the end of our training session together tonight, you will know the two key things to becoming an elite six-figure software developer. Okay. And what that looks like is someone that's fluent in AI, fearless in innovating, and always in demand. The elite software developers I know and have worked with are never worried about their jobs because they know even if they lose it, they've got another one around the corner. They might even have a list of five, four or five or six just around the corner, and they know it's only a matter of time. So, um, at this level, when you're working to become elite, it's more about, is this the right fit for me? Am I going to get to solve cool problems? Am I going to be able to grow as a software developer? Right? I did have one of my elite software developers that I know. He recently lost his job and did get hired, and so he's like, I was like, how is it? He's like, well, it pays the bills. So it's not, which is like him saying, he's like, well, I pay the bills, but I'm not growing, right? Because elite software developers, they don't just want to pay the bills. They also want to work on really cool problems that allow them to grow as a technologist. And so that's really what this is about, is how do you become that level? So I'm assuming he's probably going to be still looking on the side for that job that really inspires him. He got a job originally as a working at a startup, and he kind of got tired of the startup life after doing it for 8 years. And so he switched to like boring companies, but he's also bored. So flip side, super awesome. Awesome, Bonnie. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, you got tons of experience. You're all good. You're all good. So you're ready. If you're ready to become elite, right? Like this is what we're going to explore tonight is what does it really mean to be that elite software developer? Okay. So, what I first want to do is share with you guys what does it look like the traditional elite timeline. And then we're going to kick this to the curb and I'm going to fast track it for you, okay? But I want you to know what the baseline is. What does this normally look like? So, normally, when you become an elite software developer, you start off typically in the past, that's been with a 4-year college tech degree, probably in CS or software engineering. And you probably blew tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars on that. And then you spend 6 to 12 months applying for jobs, right? Not making any money yet, but not losing any more, hopefully. And then finally, you should get a position as a junior dev. Typically, junior dev positions would be in the 70 to 100K range. They might be as low as 60K, right? but you spend 2 to 3 years there, right? And then you might get promoted, right? And then you get promoted to a mid-level, and a mid-level engineer is making between 100 and 140K, right? And then a couple years after that, maybe you get promoted to senior dev. Nice. This is where the elites are, right? The elite software developers I know are all in the senior dev range, mid to senior range, right? That's where it starts. And you're making 130, 180K, right? Pretty awesome. You're moving on up. That's looking pretty good, right? If we had to figure that out, okay, I'm not very good at with my calculator. So I'm just going to divide this out. What does that look like? 180 divided by 12. That's like 15 grand a month. And then you got taxes. So you're probably at like 10K a month ish. Like all of these are in the 10 to 15K a month range. That's pretty sweet, right? That's so like you're getting to solve really cool problems and you're getting paid well for it. Like so you can have really nice quality of life, set some savings aside, save up for retirement, the whole nine yards. After you become a senior dev, you might have the opportunity to become a staff engineer. And in fact, I'm going to share a story with you tonight about a student that I know that did this pathway super fast. It did not take this long. He like just got promoted to staff engineer, which is awesome. And when you hit staff engineer, now we're starting to get to the really competitive salaries, right? Like 200 to 350K. This is for most companies on average. If you're an elite coder working for one of those crazy like Fang or manga companies, Meta, Facebook, it's same thing, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, Google. If you're working for one of those companies, you might be making $1 million a year. Like in fact, AI researchers are now getting paid like $250 million a year. Like I'm not even kidding you. Like I just Googled it tonight, like to make sure I got the number right. Like when you're elite in these tech fields, you are so highly sought after that like you can have game-changing salaries annually. Like, so no joke, $1 million and up, totally possible when you're an elite. You have to get there though, right? You have to get to that elite level. And then finally, the final promotion typically on this pathway would be a principal engineer or architect. This is someone that is designing the system, is deciding where everything is going to get laid out. They're making the really big decisions in terms of scalability and robustness. So, and they're typically in the 300 to 500K range. So, millions of dollars are possible, but for very specific niche types of elite software developers. But what I want you to notice from this pathway is that the traditional elite timeline can take up to 20 years. I don't know about you, but that's a long time. And I would like to fast track that for you if you guys are down. Okay, if you guys are down. So, and so here's the AI update because let's add AI into this picture. What's happening with AI here? Okay. Well, AI is really eating the junior dev positions. And I think that's in part why all of our students that have graduated in the past year have all been getting six-figure offers and up is because the below six-figure jobs are gone. They've been eaten by AI. So you have to get a good job or any one of these tech jobs, you have to raise your level anyways. So the elite coders are the ones that are getting hired. They're getting hired at a minimum of six figures, right? So the six-figure jobs are there. They're just not open for people that are like true beginners, right? You really in the mid like around 2015, 2016 when like the tech industry was booming, they would take anybody off the street who didn't even know how to code and put them in a developer role, right? It was like, "Oh, do you walk on two legs? Great, because here's a 100K salary to become a software developer." Right? Those days are long past. And so now you really have to level up. And that's what tonight is all about, is talking about how do you become that elite software developer, okay? Now, what I can share with you is that I have worked with elite software developers who have gone on to so many different companies, from Chase, IBM, Oracle, Amazon, startups like Capital RX and Turo, and they've started anywhere from junior dev, mid-level to senior dev, right? I've had students graduate and start at senior dev, right? Because they have the technical expertise. So it doesn't necessarily matter if you got that technical expertise working a job or if it was just you got the experience. The important thing is you have that senior level experience. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight, how you can get that. Okay. Now, I do want to like, so like the students that I've worked with across the board, for all time that I'm aware of, based on the salaries they've shared with me, I have worked with devs from salary ranges from 70K to 170K. Some of these devs had minimal experience, some had more. In fact, the most recent student that I'm going to talk to you about tonight got promoted to staff engineer just 6 years after graduating, right? They did not follow this whole pathway. Like, you can absolutely fast track this, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But these awesome engineers, these elite engineers that I've been working with, they have been working on some of the coolest tech. Do you guys want to see like an example of some of that cool tech that they've been working on? Because that's really what we're here about, is like tech that changes the world, right? Oh my goodness. So let me know if you guys are in. Give me a thumbs up. Drop me a note in the chat if you guys are down for that. I'd love it. And also, if there's any questions, feel free to drop in the chat as we go. Feel free to drop in the chat. Awesome. You guys ready to see what kind of awesome tech you can work on when you're an elite dev? Let me know. Let's see. Are we awake? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Tammy's in. All right, sweet. Steve's in. Good, good, good. Don't want to get too far ahead, you guys. Awesome sauce. Thanks, folks. All right, let's take a look. So I'm going to focus in on one particular student who got a job at Turo. Has anyone ever used the Turo app? Just out of curiosity. I saw one thumb up, but it might have been from before. Has anyone seen Turo? Or is it just me? I use it like all the time. I use it all the time. Okay. So I'm not seeing. Just let me know if you have used Turo. Okay. Seen but never used. Awesome, Deanna. Awesome. So let me just clue you guys in. So Turo is was a startup at the time. To be honest, when my student was hired there, I had never heard of it or used it. I used it within 2 years though of him joining. And like, elite coders thrive in a startup environment and they're very well sought after because typically they're a jack of all trades, they know so much tech, and if they're early career, they're less expensive than a more senior dev that has all that experience. So sometimes a newer dev that really has these elite capabilities, they're perfect for startups, right? And elite coders really like startups because they're constantly called to learn and grow and level up, which is something they love to do. And it's a great way to build your resume. So the Turo app is basically an Airbnb for car rentals. It's an Airbnb for car rentals. And it's super cool. I use it every time I travel. In fact, I use it like I did 2 Turo rentals in a week because I traveled. I went out west. I rented a car so I could drive it around while I was out there instead of just Ubering to and from the airport. It was easier, and then I could like had a car. And then when I got home, I went away like down the shore is what we say in Jersey when you're going to the beach. I went down the shore for a weekend for my sister-in-law's bachelorette. I wanted to leave my big old family van car home for my husband with the kids. And so I rented another one. I rented a fun little Mercedes for the weekend, and I rented a Beamer out west. So like you can just rent like fun cars. I like rented like a Porsche once. Like you can rent really like you can rent a McLaren. It's gonna be expensive, but like you can totally do it. So if you wanted to just experience some of those luxury cars, you can for just like a day. It's really cool. And so basically, these are people that like own cars that rent them, right? And so it's so much easier than a rental car company because it's cheaper typically, and you get to pick the exact car you want, and they'll usually drop it off at the airport for you, and you can just drop it off when you return. So it's like your car while you're there. It's so cool. I've used it in Disney to rent a van, like yeah, all the time. So I love this app. It's super cool. And so I have a student that's been working on it since must have been like 2019 because he said he's been there like 6 years. So he must have started around 2019. I think he graduated around 2018 or so ish. So somewhere around in there. And he's been working on it a long time. And it's so much fun. It's so much fun. But like salary aside, just out of curiosity, who gets excited about getting to work on cutting edge tech, right? Like imagine getting to help launch groundbreaking new products like Turo in 2026. Like, would you be into that? So just let me know who's here. I'm just curious. Is this something that gets you really excited? Like to be able to like create something that becomes so impactful and so cool for people. Awesome, Steve. I love it. Yes, Steve. That's so, so good. Yeah, Roll. I love it. It's awesome, right? It's so good. It's so good. Okay, excellent. So I want to walk you through what his pathway looked like to become an elite coder. To be honest, he was an elite coder before he graduated, right? Once you flip that switch and you go into elite mode, it doesn't come away, right? Like it's just who you are. And so like he was already really, really good. And so he just got better over time and was able to really go fast. So he spent 4 years in college getting a CS degree. Okay. So a CS degree is not necessarily required for this, but like it's often the path that elite coders take. And then he got a junior dev job before he even graduated, right? So he applied to Turo and was hired before graduation day. And he did 1 to 2 years as a junior dev. And then he spent 1 to 2 years at the mid level. And then he was a senior dev within 3 years of starting, right? So becoming a senior dev doesn't have to take that long. It doesn't have to take that long. And I literally talked to him yesterday. He was just promoted to a staff engineer, right? Which next level up from senior. And so and basically he applied last year and he was approved, but he had to wait for the funding to come through. Like the company had to create the revenue and the income for him to have that salary. And so he became a staff engineer in just 6 years instead of the typical 10 to 13. So becoming an elite coder is really more of a state of mind, but having that external validation that, yeah, I'm an elite coder, I'm a senior dev, I'm a staff engineer, it doesn't have to take that long. It can take just like a year or two. But the key is having that elite mindset ahead of time. So, what made the difference here, right? And what made the difference is the elite coder blueprint that I'm going to share with you tonight. Okay. Elite devs are high flyers and they move fast. They don't necessarily follow the traditional pathway, right? So, just out of curiosity, who is ready to learn how to become an elite coder tonight? You guys ready for this? Let me know. And we'll dive into it, all right? We'll dive in. Bonnie raised their hand. Awesome sauce, folks. Steve is ready. Super awesome. Yes. Tammy's ready. Dio's ready. Dave's ready. Yes. Let's do this. Okay. It's pretty simple, right? I'm all about simple and finding the simplest things that move the needle. That's what I'm all about. And so there's some really critical things that we can do to learn how to think like an elite coder. First, let's set some baseline things. To think like an elite coder, it is not what you know. Okay? It's not what you know. Just out of curiosity, let's take a survey of the room. Show of hands. How many of you have, coding experience? Let me see. I might even have, hold on, before you show of hands, let me see. Okay, cool. All right, here. I have a quiz for you guys. Quick quiz. Okay, do you guys see that? Are you guys able to see that? I would love to know what kind of experience you have, right? Just to let us know. I love that. Thank you. And I'll make sure to tailor tonight's talk to you guys to make sure. Okay, so we got some new folks. That's totally cool, right? You can totally use this information once you've got the basics down, right? Awesome. So we've got some folks that worked as a developer, some new folks. Excellent, excellent. Thank you guys so much for taking the time. Anyone that can. Awesome. I see someone texting, and that's great. Awesome. 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 All right, cool. I'll leave that up for a second. And it's not about what you know. And that's actually good news if you don't know that much coding yet. Because if you think about it, how many new languages and frameworks are going to come out in your tech career? Right? So many, so many. So the key, what happens to what we know, right? So let me focus on it. There's certain things that we have to know, but it's not everything, right? It's not like Java uses semicolons and Python doesn't. Like that's not the type of knowledge that's going to be helpful. So let me give you an example, right? Let me give you an example. I'm going to end this poll here. Thank you, folks, for participating. Love that. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, let me get this out of the way for me. Okay, so and Matt, let's take as an example, right? Let's take it as an example, telephones. The telephone was invented around the turn of the century, Alexander Graham Bell, and it has gone through a lot of iterations. Yes? Totally right. We've got the rotary phone, we had the cordless phone. Do you guys remember those from the 80s? The cordless phone and the ones with like in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they had the squiggly telephone, it's like a tail, right? Cord. Oh my goodness, I remember like twirling those, right? And
Oh my goodness. My cordless phone, I used to drop, my parents had a pool. I would like drop it in the pool. Anyways, so, and we used to have multiple phone lines in our house. Like, oh my goodness. Now everybody has their own cell phone. So everybody has a phone line, right? And so the form factor of the telephone has changed, but the basic functionality of calling has not changed for over 100 years. It looks a little bit different, but the process itself of making a phone call has largely stayed the same. You enter in a number, you tell the telephone who you'd like to call based on their number. Now we have contacts. It's okay, right? The basic premise has not changed, right? The technology has changed underneath, right? The technology has kept changing, but the process that we use to make a phone call largely hasn't, right? And so if you think about becoming an elite dev is going to see many technological changes throughout their career. So it's not what they know about, this language or this framework, right? It's about how they solve problems, right? It's about how you solve problems. It's more about who are you calling and why are you calling them, right? It's not about how do I call because that's related to the tech. It's going to change all the time. But who are you calling? Well, I might be calling the client to find out my MVP requirements, right? And it's about knowing what needs to happen when and who can do it, right? So the telephone is just a tool, but the more important thing to know is the process. How do I deliver technology that works awesome, that's scalable, that's reliable, that's robust, right? Those are the higher level things that do not change and the AI doesn't replace, right? And it's also about discernment in technical decision making, right? And again, this is where we're moving beyond beginner level here, right? So if you're a beginner and what I'm saying on this slide doesn't totally make sense to you, it's a-okay because you're not necessarily here that like there yet. But it's about the discernment and how do you make technical decisions given all the tools that are currently available? Yes, including AI, right? So, for instance, in software development, you often have a client. Normally, we don't just build software for ourselves, right? Even if you're a tech founder, you have a market that you're trying to meet. Like somebody has to pay for the software. Somebody does, right? Either it's the market, the free market, consumers, or it's a company, but somebody is paying for this software, right? And so typically when we're building in service of someone else's vision, typically, right? And so we might have to explain the pros and cons of different technical options, like in lay terms. Like, for instance, maybe there's a strategic decision around should we use Stripe or PayPal for payment processing, or should we use Next.js or React, right? And based on the decision, things will have to change. And so an elite developer is going to be able to speak to what needs to change in terms of the timelines, the tech, the pipeline, the personnel, right? And the idea is that as you advance, what separates the beginner from that elite software developer? It's that discernment of knowing which way to go, when to consult someone who's more senior, when to do a little more testing, when to do more prototyping and testing, right? Because when you become that higher level elite dev, it's not about, oh, you have to follow this. This is the rule. It's not about this or that. It's about when. And so as software developers advance and become elite experienced software developers, they're gaining this technical discernment. How do you make decisions? How do you decide when we're going to go with this technology or not? Or do we need to do more research? Like should we look for something else? Should we stop looking and start building? Like the discernment to know when to stop, when to go, when to learn more, right? That's what the experienced developer has. Typically, a junior dev only knows to apply the rules they've learned. Okay, everybody says I should never create a global variable, so I'm not going to create those, right? But they don't have that discernment to know when they might want the global variable because there are situations that would potentially. Like a go-to statement. You'd probably never want one of those ever. So there might be so there's discernment and there are some rules, but for the most part, a lot of decision making when you're building a software project comes down to discernment. is this the appropriate case to apply this rule or not? Right? To apply this tech, to apply this framework. Okay? Excellent. 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 Let me know if you guys have questions on this, okay? So, let's walk through how do we become one of these elite software developers, okay? There's a really simple system. I'm going to share it with you tonight. So, let me share with you first this idea that you become who you hang out with. Has anyone ever heard this before? Just let me know in the chat. Give me an emoji. Have you heard this before? That you become who you hang out with? Mhm. Awesome. Sweet. Sweet. All right, we're gonna talk about this for a second because it's a secret behind how do you level up to elite so fast, right? The student that I was speaking about that leveled up to become an elite software developer, I personally worked with him one-on-one for like multiple years, right? Like I worked with him so freaking much. So like proximity to elite developers, it's a game changer. If you want to become better at something, figure out who is it easy for and go hang out with them. Like literally, this is my secret sauce, my trick that I use everywhere in every area of my life to keep leveling up and achieve whatever kind of result I'm looking to achieve. I have a problem, I can't solve it. Who is this problem easy for? I bring it to them. They help me solve it. Done. And I've leveled up in the process. Let me give you some examples. If you want to become an entrepreneur, go hang out with entrepreneurs making more, right? Well, Tammy, you're hanging out with me right now, so it's a start, right? So, although ideally you'd want to be hanging out with me where you're like working on coding, right? For it to rub off. Hanging out just like eating lunch and stuff will also work, but it's best if you can hang out and actually be doing the thing. So if you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to hang out with entrepreneurs that are making more than you are. So like when I first started, I hung out with entrepreneurs making seven-figure years. So having they had $1 million businesses. Now that I've advanced that level, I start to hang out with people that have 8 and 9 figure businesses, right? One of the women I work with, she makes 100 million a year, right? I'm working with her. And in turn, she has a mentor who's making 1 billion a year because that's where she's trying to go, right? So in business, this is really common, right? You work with and you hang out with people that are a little bit ahead of where you are, so you can kind of learn from them because the way you think about problems can be very different when you're looking for a 6 figure business versus a 7, 8, or 9 figure business, right? If you want to become a YouTuber, so you hang out with other obsessive YouTubers. So, just out of curiosity, has anyone ever heard of Mr. Beast? Let me know. My kids love him. Has anyone heard of Mr. Beast? Okay, Liz has. Yeah. Excuse me. So Mr. Beast, I don't know if you guys know this, but before he got started, I mean, he's like huge. He's probably one of the biggest YouTubers out there. At least made some of the most money out there. He started off like at 13 just playing video games on YouTube, getting nothing, right? No views. And then he paired up with a couple other dudes near him, friends, that they were obsessed. They were super obsessive about what goes into an awesome content, what becomes an awesome YouTube video. And so we hung out with them, they were fanatical about it and they raised their vibe together, right? They raised their level together. The same is true with becoming an elite developer. If you want to become an elite developer, hang out with elite developers. Okay. So, for instance, there's so many ways that this plays out. For instance, I once had a student intern, Mo, who he came in kind of he lacked confidence. He was kind of a shaky front end dev. He didn't really know what he was doing. And within a month of working with a senior software engineer for like an hour a week, he went from a shaky front end to a completely full stack, back end intern developer who had implemented Stripe payment processing. And for anyone that's done coding, implementing payment processing is really fussy because it has really high security requirements. And he figured it out and he made it happen, right? Like working with this elite developer because he was literally able to download the dude's experience in real time, in minutes, right? In minutes, he was downloading years and years and years of experience. It was awesome. I've had other students where they worked with someone and that person got a killer job. They became an elite dev, and guess what? They knew this other person from when they were studying, appear. They pulled them up. So that person only had to apply to one job, one interview, hired. I don't think it was six figures to start. I think it was like 70K because they were brand new. But like hanging out with elite devs builds connections. It helps you learn faster, right? You get the roles for elite devs when you are one. So most of the students I know that are elite devs were elite when they were learning. Like they were elite long before they got a job, right? Because it's a mindset. It's a way of being. It's a way of learning, right? Because connections and fast tracking your learning, right? Let me show you. Let me show you this. All right. So why is it so important to hang out with elite devs if you want to become one? And it's because you can actually 10x your experience in minutes, not years. It's incredible. Okay. Let me dive into this a little bit. So there's a couple reasons for this. One is more is caught than taught. More is caught than taught. More is caught than taught. What do I mean that like that about that? Think about learning something. Okay? Let's think about learning a language like English, French, Spanish, Japanese, something like that. You can study grammar books for years. I don't know about you. Did anyone learn a language in school? I learned French. My kids are learning French and Italian, right? We spend years, like 5, 6 years learning a language, right? But what happens when you just spend a couple months living in the country? Suddenly you become fluent, right? The unspoken cues, the rhythms, the shortcuts, you absorb them naturally in practice, right? With experience. Coding culture works the same way, right? When you're doing it, right? When you're in it and you're surrounded by experts, it levels you up. It makes it so much easier to learn, right? Because the experts, they just like transfer their knowledge just by talking to them. They can't help it. It just slips out, right? Just slips out. Yep. Oh, so more is caught than taught. So when you hang out with people that already are at the position you want, you're giving yourself the best chance of success, right? The other reason is because tech evolves so quickly, so fast, that apprenticing is sometimes the only way to get better, right? Sometimes there might only be a dozen people in the world to actually learn from. Yes, you can AI, you can Google, but if it's a new technology, if you're innovating, right? If you're creating something that's never been created before, if you're using a new library that's brand new, AI and Google don't have it yet, right? Like when you're pushing the boundaries of what we've created in software, if you're innovating like that, there might only be a handful of people in the world that have enough experience to answer your questions, right? Let me give you a different example, right? Think about being a chef for a second. Think about being a chef, right? Imagine trying to become a chef by reading last year's cookbooks, right? They should be like the recipes will be okay, but they might be get a little outdated. The techniques might have evolved, right? And the new tools aren't even in the books yet. But when you apprentice under a master chef who knows what they're doing, you pick up these fresh skills that haven't even hit the books yet, right? So the idea is that when you're learning and you're elite and you're becoming an innovator, right? A developer, this tech evolves too fast that apprenticing can be the only way sometimes. It is the fast and best path. Yes, Dave, we're covering the specific details on becoming a elite coder. We're in process right now. Super awesome. And finally, this is really a game changer here, right? When you hit a snag, right? When you hit a challenge, a tech challenge that you can't solve. Now, when I was a beginner, I would get really frustrated. I don't know if anyone else gets frustrated. I would get so frustrated. But the elite developers that I know, they don't get frustrated. They have a process and they execute it, right? And so as you're learning to become that elite developer, when you hit a bug, here's the reframe that makes it exciting. You're being called to level up. Because if you see a bug and you can't fix it, by definition, the universe is allowing you an opportunity to level up because you can't solve it, which means the only way you're going to solve it is if you level up your thinking. And the fastest path to level up your thinking is to bring your bug to someone else who's more knowledgeable, an expert, right? An elite coder. And then in a matter of minutes, you will download 10 or more years of experience as they help you solve it. Because it's not their bug. So they're not going to solve it for you. They're going to show you how they would solve it. You will have to be the hands. This is the secret. And in fact, it's an underpinning of the coding school that I've created. And why it's so powerful is because you work on a real problem and you bring it to an expert when you're stuck. And so whatever reason you're stuck, they're going to share with you their process of solving it. Of like, why is it easy for them and not you? They're going to literally show you how. They're going to guide your hands and tell you what to do. And then you're never going to have that problem. Not only are you never going to have that problem again, you're not going to have any other problem like it because they'll have taught you. And if you do, well, then you'll do this process again until you've mastered it and you don't hit this problem anymore, right? I remember that was true. I had a student, they had to bring me a problem repeatedly, and on the third time I was like, "Oh, this is this is why you're getting caught here in this specific thing," right? Sometimes it takes a couple times even for the expert to see why that particular thing is sticking somebody. But yeah, literally hitting bugs is an invitation to level up. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Awesome sauce, folks. So I'm just, another way to think about this is has anyone ever gotten caught like in a video game where you just get stuck in one of those boss battles, like those challenges? Has anyone ever done that? Just let me know. Drop me a note in the chat or an emoji. No? Like if you got, I don't know, if you're playing like Mario, you got stuck trying to beat Bowser for a couple days. Know that I don't know that many video games to know what the big bosses would be in them. But the idea is that like a seasoned gamer, imagine they like lean over your shoulder, show you one move, and you instantly skip ahead, right? It's like, oh, that's how I beat him, right? And in tech, asking an expert can save you weeks of trial and error, compressing years of hard-won wisdom into a 15-minute download, right? Awesome. Yes, creating websites. I had to snag and spend hours trying to fix it, right? Lots of 2 a.m. days, right? Imagine you could just go to an expert and in 15 minutes they could just tell you. And now you'd have that knowledge. You'd be armed with the knowledge to solve that problem in the future so you don't get stuck. Super awesome, right? Super awesome. It's a really elegant solution to transfer knowledge in a field like tech, which is constantly evolving and changing. Okay, so, who's ready to see the Elite Coder Blueprint? Are you guys ready for this? Like what this looks like? Again, it's a super simple process. Super simple process. Yeah, Tammy, you can use chat to help you code. But eventually, when you're working on really innovative problems, AI doesn't help, right? Because it can only get you so far. Or there's places to use it and places not to, right? Exactly. Super awesome. All right, let's do this. Okay, the Elite Coder Blueprint is very simple and straightforward. Let me share it with you. So let me put this all together for you. Phase one is breath, right? It's studying with expert problem solvers in many areas. It's not all the same problem solver. It's not all the same expert, right? So imagine, right, doing a round robin study with experts in full stack, mobile, AI, cloud, cybersecurity, right? An expert mentor rotation. So you get multiple perspectives and you learn a lot of different technologies. So you have breadth. This is really important for developing your technical discernment so you can make decisions and create pathways to unlock new tech that's never been done before, right? This gives you discernment in technical designs and decisions, right? Just out of curiosity, did anyone go to college and do like gen eds? Do you guys remember that? I don't know. Wait, who's has anyone had? Liz has. Awesome, right? This is kind of like the first 2 years of college when you took your general education courses, right? You might sample psychology, history, computer science, and art, not because you'll major in all of them, but because the breadth gives you perspective. So you start to see how the different fields think and approach problem solving, right? And that foundation helps you make smarter choices when it's time to pick your major and go deep. In the same way, that's what we're doing here is that you want to have breadth in all the latest tech, not because you're an expert, but because learning those different fields is going to make you an elite problem solver because you're going to see problem solving. How do they problem solve in networks? How do they problem solve in AI? How do they problem solve in cloud? And you're going to start to see similarities and also differences so that when you're in situations and working with a team, they might be interdisciplinary, you'll actually have a sense of how to do things properly, right? And how to get to the result you're looking for faster and more effectively than maybe somebody with less experience, right? Someone who's not elite. So that's number one. That's number one. Okay. So first, we want breadth across the many fields. Phase two is depth. Phase two is depth. That's taking a project from an idea to an MVP, right? So, idea to deployment, basically, right? What does this mean? This involves mastering the UX design process and working with stakeholders. I want to note here that this is a very critically important part of software development that cannot be outsourced to AI completely. Someone has to talk to the stakeholders, right? AI can help, but it can't dictate, it can't figure out the process. That comes from the humans. It involves architecting a solution, also something that AI is not good at. AI can give you suggestions, but only true expertise, a true elite developer, has a discernment to know when AI is full of it and when AI is doing a good job, right? So you really have to know how to build it yourself, anyways, to be able to even know is the AI working, right? And to be able to choose suitable tech stacks and frameworks given your team, given the culture at your company, right? Given the nature of the client. Like there's so many variables. It would be impossible for a human to articulate them all for the AI to do a good job at it. And finally, to deploy a working solution as a team. This is the critical experience um, that all jobs that I see, job postings in tech, are looking for. And it's partly why the students I've worked with have had so much success and have been getting those six-figure offers. It's because they have that deployment experience working on a team, right? But the ability to take a project end to end completely from scratch, to be honest, when you get into a job as an elite coder, you probably aren't building from scratch, right? Very much. Like you're getting paid because this software generates revenue. So it exists, right? But the ability to take a project end to end, to start one and deploy it live and follow all the best practices working on a team, that's the level of knowledge that an elite developer needs to really unlock those positions. Okay. To really unlock those. To give you an analogy for that one, right? For this idea of going deep, right? It's kind of like launching your own business. If anyone has ever tried that, right? You're not just experimenting anymore. You're choosing one product, designing it with users in mind, you're picking the right tools, and you're actually shipping it. And so suddenly you're managing real feedback, real constraints with like team schedules, real customers, real stakes, right? And so, in this process, you're going to quickly and easily master dozens of little nuances that could never be taught, right? Like, I have been teaching software development and how to build enterprise software development systems for about 20 years now, right? And there's so many little details that you like literally cannot write them all out. And they change too fast, anyways, right? About the deployment process, about how does your continuous integration pipeline work? Like there's so many little things that go into deploying a live project with scalability and robustness. And you can't necessarily teach all those things. It would take too long, right? Like, okay, if you want, I can give you a 4-year degree on that. But I don't know about you. I'd like to have my six-figure job a little bit faster, right? I'd like to be an elite coder a little bit sooner than 4 years if I can, right? And paying tens of thousands of dollars to have that college experience, right? And so this phase two, this depth, right? Phase one is going to give you breadth in your portfolio, but phase two is going to give you depth. That's going to give you that resume experience that will get you hired. So you can skip entry level junior dev positions, which to be honest, don't exist anymore anyways, because AI is eating them, right? And jump straight into the senior dev positions that get those six-figure salaries, right? Super awesome. Any questions on this, folks? Let me know. Are there questions? Okay. And Bonnie asked a question, how do you get access to these few elite software developers? And I'm going to tell you a way to do that, Bonnie. So don't worry. By the end, you will have that answer as well. Excellent. 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 Okay. Let me know if there's questions. Let me know if there's questions. So some of you guys might be wondering, can I do this? Is anyone wondering, can I do this? Can I really become an elite software developer? Anybody asking themselves that right now? Let me know in the chat. Let's see how it is. Yeah. All right. Cool. Awesome. Thank you for your honesty, dude. I appreciate it. Right. And you're smart, right? You're smart to think about it, Steve, always. Because this isn't for everyone, right? Becoming an elite software developer is not for everyone. Just like becoming an entrepreneur and a business owner is not for everyone. Can anyone do it? Yes. Does everyone do it? No. Right? Who is this for? Is tech fun for you? Like, would you do this anyways? Right? Like, even if you didn't get paid six figures, would you do it anyways? Right? That's kind of like the test, right? Like, I couldn't help doing tech. To be honest, when I first started learning to program, it didn't come easily. I spent a lot of years banging my head against the wall, wondering why people couldn't teach me. Of course, I went off and made a way to teach anybody how to code, right? But I got really frustrated, right? Because normally, like, I like to do things and I'm accustomed to being good at things, right? I'm an achiever. And so I was like really frustrated. I was like, gosh, why is this so hard, right? Like, why is this difficult? But I kept going because part of the challenge was also part of the motivation. I was like, well, gosh darn it, this should be easy. Why isn't it? I am going to sit here and do this until it is easy. And so sometimes it would just be like, this should be working when I would come across a bug. And it was just the fact that it wasn't was enough of a brain tease that I was like, I want to get this. Right? Like, so if you're like really passionate, if the salary is a bonus, like a benefit, but not the main event, this is probably for you, right? Because if you're motivated by just your love of problem solving, of when you come against a challenge, you must overcome it, right? Like that's what kept me going as a technologist. It's like this should be working. Why isn't this working? Right? Like and it was the chase. It was the thrill of like learning more, of constantly knowing, like leveling up and learning more and making it work, right? That's what really made it fun for me. So when you enjoy that process, when you enjoy problem solving and achieving, this is great for you, right? But that's why I'm telling you honestly up front, it is not for everybody. I created a coding school for everybody, right? This is not that. This is not for everybody. This is for those that want to go to the next level. And no, math is still not required here, just FYI. Math is only required because I know people hear this all the time of like, oh, you have to be awesome at math to be a good computer scientist. No, you don't. There is a relationship, there's a correlation, it's not causation, right? I've seen brilliant technologists come from music and English and science, right? As well as math. Um, yeah, math is not required. Math is only used, like advanced math, like calculus, is only used in two places in computer science. One is advanced computer graphics, because you're modeling physics. Calculus isn't really math, it's physics, and it's applied physics. But and also like graduate PhD level theoretical computer science. Like yes, that requires calculus. Other than that, no calculus required, right? No, no math. The ability to think about variables. So like algebra. If you passed algebra in K through 12, which most of you have, you're good. That's the level of math that is useful. Now you still might be wondering, right? Like I don't know if I'm cut out to be elite, right? I don't know if I'm cut out to be the best, right? And here's the thing I want to tell you. Like if tech is fun for you and you're an achiever and you love problem solving, I don't care if you're the best coder right now. You can get there, right? So let me show you an example. Some of you might have seen this before. But I don't know if you guys know this, but this is Michael Jordan. He's known as one of the greatest of all time in basketball. And he was cut from his high school basketball team. So he did not start off the greatest at all. But it was his response to being cut that led to greatness because then he started making 1,000 baskets a day, not shots, baskets. I mean, think of that dedication. You have to at least like basketball a little bit, right? To make 1,000 shots a day. And that was the catalyst that, propelled him on to become one of the greatest of all times. But he didn't start off the best, right? I've heard, people say that to become great, you just have to be willing to suck at it long enough until you get good at it, right? It's almost like fake it till you make it. Just it's gonna be rough until you're awesome. And that is true for becoming an elite software developer as well. If you know how to code and you love problem solving, you can become an elite software developer if you're following this pathway, right? And you just have to keep going, right? The only people that I know that didn't make it quit and gave up, right? You have to keep going. You have to love it and you've got to want it, right? Because, yeah, becoming a lead coder isn't necessarily for everybody. But if you have the passion and drive to succeed, if you love this stuff and you do it anyways, you're going to love the process of learning and evolving, right? Another quote I've heard from Thomas Edison is that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. And I think we just saw that this example from Michael Jordan definitely showcases that right? It's really about the effort that you're putting in, right? There's a little like are there some like genius elite coders? Yeah, right now they're making like hundreds of millions of dollars as an AI researcher, right? Like but who that is changes over time. But the base foundation of becoming an elite software developer, that doesn't change. And it always has typically a six-figure floor, right? So once you become one of these elite devs that is very comfortable with technology that can build anything, right? Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Awesome sauce, folks. Awesome sauce. All right, cool. Now, some of you might be wondering, is anyone wondering, what about AI? How does AI relate to our elite software developer conversation? Let me know. Um, awesome. Diona loves front end. Front end is somewhat easy for me. I come home from work and go straight to my computer. I love it. Yes, Diona, right? So you have the capacity to become elite in coding, right? Because you're like super motivated. You love it, right? Yeah, and comp sci can be considered applied math for sure. Um, it- but that's because math is not calculus, I think is really the difference here. That the discernment that people need to get. Super awesome. So is anyone wondering about AI? Do we bust that? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I could talk about it briefly, but I'm just curious. Like, I've heard so many people be like, "Oh, tech is dead because AI." And I'm just like, "No, tech is like about to thrive because of AI." But okay, right. You can choose to believe whatever story you like. We'll see who wins in the end. History. We'll get there. So I'll just briefly cover this just in case anyone who's listening in can't speak up for themselves. But remember, like AI is the co-pilot, is your co-pilot now, right? AI doesn't replace you. AI enhances and accelerates you. Because at the end of the day, there's always going to be good AI. So this is an image that I generated using AI, and bad AI. This is an image I also generated. And as humans, we can instantly see this and know which one we want. We want the one on the left, not the one on the right. But we have to know what good looks like. AI can't tell us what good looks like. AI just creates. And it might be good or it might be garbage. And it's our job to discern which is which. This is why discernment, it has always been important, but it is so much more important now with AI, right? Because you have to have enough technical expertise to tell if the AI is right or wrong, right? AI can 10x coders. In fact, one of the senior devs that I'm working with, I'm figuring out where he's going to come in on the schedule. He can do in days what used to take developers months using AI. Like he uses it in weird and wonderful ways, right? And so that's incredible, right? That can completely like 10x a coder's output, right? But there's things that AI can't do. And so that is what I'm also talking about when I talk about becoming an elite coder. It is not just becoming someone who is an incredible technologist. That is part of it, right? But it's really becoming one of these tech unicorns that can do things that AI can't, that can do things that most developers can't, like talk to people. I train developers that talk to people. I know, crazy, crazy, I know. But the ability to talk to stakeholders is a very rare and now absolutely necessary skill for a software developer because more and more the software developers are now leveled up. They're out of the day-to-day coding and now they're talking to stakeholders and making sure the code aligns with what the stakeholder wants instead of being the hands of doing all the building, right? So, like, let me give you, they also getting it deployed and working, right? AI can create awesome code, but it can't create it according to specifications. Like it can't do all the things that a human would consider. It still needs code reviewing. It still needs to get it working and remove the bugs. In fact, I have been seeing job ads for developers to clean up the hot mess of AI code because now that they've used AI to create their code base, no human can change it. They can't update it. They can't adapt it. It's become this huge hot mess for them. Any developer with experience, any elite developer could have told you that, right? Like, but okay, the companies had to find it out for themselves. Right. But like, there's literally jobs being created to clean up the massive amount of AI generated code that's just garbage that isn't good. And I like before AI, I created a project that we hadn't quite started it off right. We rewrote it at our own expense. No harm to the customer. But like I could just see after about a year, I was like, oh, if we keep going the way we started this, in 3 years, it's going to be like hundreds of thousands of dollars to maintain each year. And this company isn't making any revenue yet. Like you can literally make poor choices in your development and shoot your company into the ground. And so I think some of this early AI coding stuff may be having that effect. AI can't manage teams and clients, just full stop. And it can't do user experience testing and design because that involves the humans, right? It can make suggestions, it can help you prototype, but it can't be the brains. Like there's limitations to how far it can go because someone has to tell it what to do and confirm that it did it. Like AI still needs these things. So, elite coders who can prototype with AI, who can work with stakeholders and deploy robust solutions are the in demand developers of the future because they're the tech unicorns. They can do it all. It's almost unheard of for someone with technical expertise to actually know how to talk to humans and to like do user design, right? To work with stakeholders, to work with teams. And so when you can insert yourself into that process, you become so valuable. And AI is not going to replace whatever you're doing, right? You're always going to have a job. So it's a pretty cool way to go about things, right? This is kind of like, has anyone ever used a GPS, by the way? Anyone use GPS? We'll use that as an example. Just let me know if you've used GPS to get somewhere, right? Yeah. Awesome, Tammy. Awesome, Diona. Did the GPS, did you tell the GPS your destination or did the GPS just make it up? You told it, right? We tell the GPS the destination. Same with AI. We give it the input. Where do you want to go, right? And you do have to know how to drive, right? You have to know how to get there because you have to drive you have to drive it. It gives you directions, but you still take the steps. And then you needed to know when you reached your destination, right? Did it work or not? Did the directions get you where you wanted? The same is true with software developers and AI, right? It's not it's not taking jobs, it's evolving them, right? I have always been in the business of preparing elite software developers. Those jobs haven't changed. They're just as lucrative now as they were 10 years ago when I first started training them because I am training developers for the future. I'm not only training them for now. And so this process of becoming an elite software developer, it is tried and true. It has weathered many ups and downs, recessions, and technology changes, right? Super awesome. Yep. Yeah, and yeah, you might when you're using GPS, you might choose alternative routes, right? Because you have to be able to know and be like, dude, AI, that's the wrong way. We are not doing it that way. In fact, I had a senior dev who used AI to rapidly prototype. He's like, AI is doing something over there that I don't know. I'm gonna stay away from that code. That doesn't make sense to me. Now, if it was the only way to get it working, he could have sat down and understood it. But like, if it doesn't make sense, he's like, that might be some really random, weird way of doing it that has a bunch of flaws. So he's going to sidestep it, right? And it takes that experience, that discernment that an elite software developer has to be able to make those choices, right? Super awesome. Super awesome, folks. Awesome sauce. So I think, just to summarize, the role of an elite software developer is evolving beyond just brute force coding all day. It's really about creativity and collaboration, right? Creativity and collaboration. Awesome sauce. So I want to talk a little bit more. We're going to pull this all together. I want to talk just a minute about the idea of investing in your future, right? So I run a coding school. I'm going to share with you tonight, if you're open to it. I will share with you some details about a program that we have for those of you that are interested in becoming one of these elite software developers that I've already organized for you with all the elite software developers in it, right? So you don't have to go searching for it. But before I talk about that, I just want to take a minute to talk about investing in your future, right? So you can kind of see the bigger picture, whether or not this is something that you want to do, right? Like I'm here to show you the pathway, and then you can choose whether or not to walk it, right? Like everything I share with you tonight is accessible to anyone, right? You can go out and you can find elite software developers. I think it's going to be more difficult than like meeting someone to have a relationship with, right? Like it's a very targeted search, but it can be done. Like you could, there are ways you can go to meetups, right? You can find these things. You can do deep projects. But I think we're this system that I'm going to share with you tonight is just a little bit easier, right? It just makes it easier and more defined so you know you'll be able to up level in that 6 month timeline. So obviously, senior software engineers charge hundreds of dollars an hour, right? And so if you wanted to work with them, this would be investing in your future. And I think what I want to make sure that you guys are clear on is that you are absolutely the best investment in your future, right? I once had a student, her name was Doris, right? She invested 15K in my coder training program. She could have invested that 15K in other ways, right? She could have put it into her savings. She could have put it into her retirement. And within 7 months, maybe would have gotten lost $750 or gained 1,500. That's about, the min and the max you can get on the open market in 7 months. Instead, she chose to invest it in herself. And so she took that 15K and she invested it in herself. And after our training, she landed a 150K job just 7 months after starting, right? Just 7 months later. And not only did she 10x her investment in the very first year, she gets that salary and that paycheck year after year. So that the investment in becoming an elite software developer, it keeps on giving, right? It's not like it's just one and done. It keeps going. You get promoted faster, you get, job opportunities faster that have higher earnings potential. It just always stays with you. Not only to mention that when you're an elite software developer, you stop getting frustrated when things don't work. Things still don't work. Let me be clear. In tech, that is like par for the course. But you're not nervous or frustrated about it anymore. You're just like, yeah, okay, this is the way it goes. This is the way. This is how it works, right? I mean, the same idea is why people invest in college, right? It's to increase their earnings potential. And so this is the same. This is the same kind of investment, right? Awesome. Now, and another thing that, sometimes I hear is really about coming down to priorities. Is becoming an elite software developer a priority for you? Right? Is this something that you're passionate about that you really want to do? Because I got to be honest, as an entrepreneur, sometimes I hear people say, "Ah, I just don't have the money to invest in me," right? I've had a lot of conversations around this. And as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that money is literally everywhere, right? Literally, it grows on trees, folks. Yep. Literally, it grows on trees. So, um, whether it's maple syrup in Vermont, it's these giant Christmas pine cones in the Pacific Northwest, or like I don't know if you guys know like Joanna Gaines from Fixer Upper, they have a pecan tree in their yard. Like literally money grows on trees, okay? It's literally everywhere. There are people in every community that have extra money that they want a return on investment on, right? And if you're a good bet, I'm sure they'd much rather invest in you. It doesn't have to be a bank, it doesn't have to be a credit card, although that's really easy. Where there is a will, there is a way. And if you need ideas, let me know, right? Like this is literally what I do. In fact, I have a program where I mentor entrepreneurs on how to create 7K in 7 days, right? Like just money is everywhere, right? Money is everywhere. And as humans, but here's the thing, right? So then why do people think that money's not everywhere? Because as humans, we often use money as an excuse. Why? When we're afraid. Really, at the end of the day, we're afraid. We're afraid of what it will mean when we level up. We're afraid of failing. We're afraid of change. So that's how I know if you truly want this to become an elite dev, you will find a way, right? No matter what. There's not a doubt in my mind. There's not a doubt in my mind. Okay. And also, just to consider, Tech changes really fast. And so if you are someone that's committed to having a career in tech, you really want to be one of these elite developers, you're either moving forward or back. Eventually, if you're not leveling up, it's going to catch up with you because the technology just keeps advancing. It changes fast. So really, at the end of the day, your only decision is, do you want this? Because I got to tell you, money, you can find it. You can absolutely find it. Where there's a will, there's a way, and I can tell you how, right? The only thing that can stop you is if you don't really want it. So like literally that is the only decision you have to make is, do you want to become an elite software developer? That's it. Very simple. Very simple. Just, do you want this? Are you committed to becoming an elite dev, of building software of the future? And if so, that you're halfway there. You're halfway there. It's pretty awesome. Okay, folks. Now, let's fill in our blanks here. Let's fill in our blanks. By the end of this training, you'll know that the key to becoming an elite six-figure software developer is. What do you guys think? Can you guys pop in the chat? What do you think it is? What do you think those two things are? Lay it on me. And remember, an elite software developer is someone who is fluent in AI, fearless at innovating, and always in demand. They don't search for their jobs, they don't apply, they're invited. Mindset and action. Ooh, that's a good one, Bonnie. I like that. Any others? This is a good one. Any others? And then I'll share with you in a second. I'll share with you in a second. Skills and resilient. Good. These are good ones. I love it. Any others? So I want to draw your attention back. We had two phases, phase one and phase two. So I'm going to pop in here. I'm going to pop in. We're learning from expert mentors, right? We're learning from expert mentors. We do need to have good mindset and action and skills and resilience, right? Like all of those things are correct. But to become an elite software developer specifically, like everything you said, Bonnie and Pickney, is like totally true of really becoming an expert in anything, elite in anything. To become an elite software developer, though, we want to learn from expert mentors. We want to deploy a team project from idea to MVP, right? So, yes, Tammy, having creativity and collaboration, awesome. So, so good. So, so good. So these are the two things that we really want to focus on. So if you guys want to screenshot this, just the takeaway from the day of like, this is what you need to do. This is your roadmap. I know it seems super simple, right? I think it's easier said than done though, because the mechanics of learning from expert mentors, like finding those experts, as Bonnie asked, right? And deploying a team project from idea to MVP, like there's actually like a lot of mechanics. It's only two things, but there's so many mechanics behind the scenes that make that happen. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So just out of curiosity, who is ready to become an elite software developer and build tomorrow's tech and get to build tomorrow's tech, right? To build what has never been created before. Can you guys just drop a note in the chat or give me a thumbs up and emoji reaction? Like who's into this? Who's ready to become an elite software developer? I think some of you guys are with how you've been answering questions because it can happen quick. Like you need to be in it to win it, but it doesn't have to take long, right? Like, would any of you be interested in hearing about our new program that we have? It's brand new. We've never released it before for training elite software developers in 6 months. Are you guys into that? Would you be interested? Awesome. Let me know. Let me know. I love it. Sweet. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So some of you might be wondering, what's next, right? What's next? No worries, Dano. I see. If you're a beginner, no worries. You can jump in the next one, right? It's all good. So no worries there. So if you're asking what's next, right? I'll share just a little bit about the program that we have for those of you that are ready to really become truly elite. Because it's just these two things, but the mechanics behind the scenes, it can be a lot to set up for yourself. So I'd like to make this an easier path for you, an easier path. So to become an elite technical innovator and software developer in 6 months, again, there's going to be the two phases we talked about tonight. And the first one is learning from multiple senior level tech mentors. So senior and staff, right? At least 7 of them. It might even be more, right? It depends. We're building this, right? I've committed to having 5 senior devs in the first 3 months. I'm not sure exactly how many we'll need in the second 3 months. I know I'm having at least 2 or 3 in the second half. So like It could end up being 10, 12. I don't know how many senior developers it's going to be. It's going to be awesome though. The way this works is you will build a new portfolio project every 2 weeks, right? It can be solo or in a team, depending on what you want. But the idea is that you're going to be playing with a new technology every 2 weeks. AI, cloud, full stack, mobile, security. This is why it's not for beginners. Okay, this is like you have to have some technical expertise to actually dive into these and get anything out of this experience. The way it'll work is that the senior devs are going to rotate through. They're going to train you on how they think and solve problems. I'm going to partner with them to craft a project to help to help kind of introduce you to their topic. And then they're going to do a code review where you'll have an opportunity to do a hot seat style code review where you'll share your screen and like demo what you've done. And they will give you live feedback on your coding to be like, oh, great job doing X, Y, and Z. But as you move forward, make sure you consider X and Y, right? And so, like, they will give you live feedback on your code. Like, senior dev eyes on a code review, usually you can't get until you're like a mid level engineer in industry, right? Like, this is off the hook. It's going to totally help you level up. Totally help you level up. I'm super excited for this. It will be a little intense. It is designed for around 10 hours a week. If you've got more time, you'll get more out of it, right? I'm always trying to hit that sweet spot of 10 hours a week because usually that's something that people can float even if they've got work and family commitments, right? So it's a 2 week sprint, right? It's going to be 5 2 week sprints. So you'll have a bunch of portfolio projects coming out of that in these major technologies, right? In these major technologies. Super awesome. That's phase one. That's the first 3 months. Phase two is going to be the deep dive. It's going to be deep, bringing a cutting edge project to life. This is where you get to go deep into an innovative project that's never been done before. And it might be we can discuss whoever's in the first cohort will get to choose a little bit if it's a passion project that you bring to the table or if it's one of ours because I do have some really incredible apps up my sleeve that I haven't worked on yet. For instance, the music that if anyone was here at the beginning of the night, the music that you heard is actually created by one of our talented senior mentors. And so she is looking to create an app like with that. Anyways, there's so many cool opportunities of like groundbreaking things that have never been done before. So it's a deep dive. It's a deep dive into innovating a brand new software project. This is where you get to learn tech unicorn skills that AI cannot replace, like user experience design and testing. And in fact, the expert that we have on that did it both at IBM and AWS, Amazon. So, like, we have some incredible mentors lined up. They're from companies like Turo, and I don't know if the Meta. I have someone from Meta. He might be involved in the second half, right? I'm still figuring out exactly where he's like publishing a book on interviewing, like doing the tech interview. So he's like, no, I can't do it right now. Like it's incredible. Or like the guy that there's a guy who specializes in software security who does is an international speaker on Angular. Right? Like we got the cream of the crop here. Like the experts that we have lined up for you guys are off the hook. You will master like must have skills like team collaboration tools and deploying in production. So like you'll know exactly what to do when you walk into a job and you'll deliver a working MVP from scratch in 8 weeks for your portfolio, right? Most likely on a team. This second phase, we want to plan for team building because there's some skills you can only develop by being on a team because there's tools that only make sense when you're working on a team, which is exactly how you'll work together when you have a job, right? Super awesome. And so I know this might not be for everyone here, but I know this is going to be perfect for some of you, right? And so I just want you to take a brief moment and think about what becoming an elite software developer is worth to you, right? The elite developers I trained when I was a university professor, they paid $49,000 for the experience, right? And like you never have to apply for jobs necessarily. Like unless you want to, unless you don't have a connection, right? You could apply for jobs, but the elite developers I know, they go from job to job. They're invited, right? They just get to hop from one amazing tech project to another. They get to make well over 6 figures working on incredible problems, creating amazing tech that's transforming lives, right, in the world, right? And some of these AI elites we've been talking about have salaries for like 250 million a year. Now, I think that's like really specific and unusual. I don't think that's going to be the general experience. And I think you kind of had to be at the right place at the right time for those. But the fact is, the ceiling is super high, it's through the roof. So I'd love to take a moment to invite you to apply for our 10-15 cohort. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know. Let's see. We'll get it. The team will get it in the chat. We'll get there we go. If you're interested, please consider joining us inside it's going to start October 15th, so just 2 weeks from now. We're going to kick this off. I'm going to kick it off, and then we're going to hand it over. We're going to have a rotating um, series of senior experts. We have our AI expert on staff who's been customizing AI in industry for over 20 years. His PhD thesis was autocomplete. You know how like autocomplete happens on your phones? Yeah, that was his PhD thesis before it was built into the iPhone. So we've got some really incredible people lined up for you guys. Okay. So, if you're interested in becoming part of the first cohort, again, there's an application link. Sure, no worries, Pinckney. I can do. Whoops. Let me see. There we go. Here's the previous slide. But I have a little bit more information to give you. So, if you are new to us, if you've never worked with us before, I just want to be open with you guys. Right, this is a 10K investment, right? Like it is an incredible investment in your future where you are going to be it's going to be this crucible where you are going to be transformed to become an elite software developer, right? It's going to be the vehicle that's going to help you grow. Okay, we do have payment plans as low as 475 a month, right? So like don't worry, you can pay over time. We have we have in-house financing, we have credit-based financing, tons of options. And so I want to share with you guys that the applications are rolling. So if you're interested, just get your application in and we'll start to talk to you, right? We want to make sure that you have some coding experience. So we're going to ask you some questions to make sure you're a right fit. This is the right place for you. If you're too early in your career and you're a beginner, don't worry. We have another program where you can get started, right? So it's not a problem. We can still help you out. Applications are due no later than October 13th because the cohort starts on October 15th. So that's the last date at which you could apply. If you're interested, though, please apply early because we have a cap. We're not doing more than 20 students. Okay, maybe if somebody begs me, I'll let 22 in. But like we're not this is not huge, right? This is a really elite small number of students and senior devs, so you have time to work with them one-on-one. If it gets too much bigger than 20, you're not going to get that chance to get that one-on-one feedback from the senior devs. So it's really designed to be a small cohort. So don't wait. If you're interested, just apply, right? We'll reach out. It's all good. And really this 10K investment, guys, is the deal of the century, right? Like setting yourself up to be making six figures potentially for as many years as you want, like for only 10K, right? Like this is huge. Getting to work with like so many senior devs who all make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They charge hundreds of dollars an hour. Like the breadth and depth that we're giving is well beyond more than 40K, right? You'll make it back in your first month on the job, right? All the job salaries that I quoted were at least 10K months, right? Like literally. So, and all the students that I've worked with for the past year, they all got six-figure offers. So, like, this is a no-brainer investment, right? It really pays you back. And again, payment plans are as low as 480 a month, right? Just out of curiosity, because we have a special promotion for this first launch. We won't normally, but we do this time. Are there any Academy students in the audience thinking about this? Just let me know in the chat. I'd love to know, right? Because I have an academy where we train students who are beginners and it incorporates a technical interview component. So that's kind of the point that we're looking at. So this is exclusive, folks. If there are any academy students in the audience, we're having a launch special. It's 50% off before next Monday, just for this first cohort, just FYI. No applications required. You must pass the technical interview before joining, right? So you have 2 weeks to do that. If you can't pass the technical interview in 2 weeks, if you're an academy student, you can enroll now and we'll wait for the next cohort in the spring, right? This is something that is cohort based because it's so hands on and it's so like we're just crafting your experience so closely, right? It really has to be on a cohort schedule. We do have a discount if you wanted to do both. So if you're a beginner and you wanted to do both the tech innovators and learn to code with us, we do offer a discount as well. Okay. So just for anyone that's in that boat, just text us, let us know. You can apply and say, oh, I'm a beginner. What do I do? So what you do is you'd enroll in the academy now and you join the next cohort in the spring that we'll be offering. Awesome. Awesome sauce. So I love it. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to stay on as long as you want. If not, right? If I know we did 90 minutes almost precisely. It was pretty good. And I just want to take a moment to thank you for showing up tonight for yourself and for allowing me to share all that I have learned about becoming an elite software developer over the past 20 years of studying it. Yeah, and I hope to see some of you guys in 2 weeks on the 15th. That would be incredible. So again, I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Just let me know. And yeah, reach out to us. If now is not the time, that's cool. We'll have another cohort in the spring and you can get ready for it. If for any reason financials are an issue, let us know. There are many ways. If where there is a will, there's a way. If you want to become an elite developer, you want to be part of this first cohort, we can help you make it happen, right? There's tricks that I have never seen fail as long as they're executed, right? And so yeah, that shouldn't be a barrier. It's really about, do you want this or not? Like, do you want to become that elite software developer? Awesome sauce, folks. Thank you, Tammy. Love it. Awesome. So now I'm going to take a minute. I'm going to answer questions. And again, the link to apply is in the chat. So if you're thinking about it, definitely apply, right? Again, the application is like super easy. It's just like your name, right? It's like your name and your contact information. Then we're going to talk to you about your experience to make sure you're at the right level, right? We just want to make sure that this is a big investment and we want to make sure that you are getting the value out of it. And so we just want to make sure that you're at the level where you can take advantage of it. That's all. Yep. Super awesome. Super awesome. Cool. Awesome sauce. Sweet. Sweet. Awesome, Dado. So good. Excellent. All right, sweet. All right, questions. So Bonnie asked, so how do you get access to these few expert software developers? And I hope, Bonnie, that you can see that our Tech Innovators program, right? Did you guys see, is that fun? Did you like the eight in the Tech Innovators? Anyways, it's part of our brand new lab that we're creating. Tech Innovators is the first program for Elevate Tech, right? Where we elevate the tech of tomorrow. And so that is one pathway to access these senior devs. And it's a totally separate program from anything we've ever done before. It's brand new, brand new. And so Bonnie had also asked, can you speak with someone personally as you think this might not be exactly what you're looking for? Awesome, Bonnie. Just let us know. We're happy to talk to you. Yep, just text us back, right? And let us know and we'll be able to do that for you. Super awesome. Super awesome. Excellent. Any other questions? Awesome, Steve. Great to see you. Great to see you. No worries, Bonnie. No worries. It's all good. It's all good. Like, because this is really specific to becoming an elite software developer. I think it will help, but again, I don't know your specific case, so it's all good. It's all good. Excellent. Awesome. Awesome, Pinckney. Great question. So for this, Pinckney, most of this is going to be your code, right? Your portfolio codes. So it's a little bit different. Like our traditional academy, it's your code unless you're on an internship project, and then it's the client's code. But in this, right, it's not necessarily an internship project. These are all portfolio showpieces. And so the second phase could potentially be private. Depends on what project we pick to work on for the second half. But in the beginning, those first 5 sprints, it's all your code. Yep. Great question. Great question. Awesome. Awesome, Picnic. Yeah, we got lots of tricks. There's so many tricks. And I will start off and teach you my tricks. My tricks are really simple. It can take a few months to master my tricks, but like the idea of them is very simple, right? Like all you need to do to become an elite software developer is 2 things. Hang out with experts and like get the breath and do the things. But it takes like 6 months. It's a 6-month program to do that. Yep. Super awesome. Dato, if I have an idea to create revenue, is it possible to work it out with you and your team? Yeah, so Dato, I think this is definitely a spot where it would benefit tech founders. And so I'm definitely open to that. I have to admit, the second phase where we're going deep, has a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of potential there. So I'm not necessarily saying, oh, everybody has to do this type of project or that type of project. There's going to be a lot more flexibility, and we're going to investigate that together, what makes sense for projects. I think the key is going to be if it's interesting enough for enough of the students enrolled so that you can get a team together, because that's the one thing that we have to have for phase two is a team. And so if it's not interesting enough that the other students want to work on it, that could potentially be a problem. So like that would be it. I think that would be it. Awesome. Kelly is a beginner. Awesome. Is that program one that is on a personal timeline? Great question, Kelly. So if you're a true beginner, my recommendation is if you're open to it, you can actually skip the application process and join us inside the academy. We do have a transition point. I can tell you more about it, but we basically all that's required is going from beginner to passing a basic technical interview, not an advanced one, not one like you'd see in industry, just a basic one, right? And so students typically do that within like 2-ish months at our academy. So you could potentially do like a hybrid enrollment where you start in the academy just to get the basics because we teach it really fast. I've heard so many times, I can't tell you how many times someone has done, like, I had this really intense 2-hour training that's really fun and it teaches you like so much about coding in just 2 hours. And they're like, oh my God, I learned more in 2 hours than in 2 years of studying YouTube or doing a degree, right? In computer science and software engineering. And so, like, we teach really fast, not like fast, like you're going to be overwhelmed, but like because I changed the perspective, I made it really, really simple, right? And so we can actually get you to the point of expertise faster than most other places. And so if that's something you're interested in, we are happy to do a hybrid approach where you just get past like the basics with us and then you could join in the spring. That wouldn't be a problem. I'm not sure yet. It'll depend on how many students, how much interest we get if we offer a cohort in January or March, right? It'll be one of those 2 months, our next cohort. So super awesome. So yeah, Dato, if you're interested, all you have to do is apply. And Kelly, same with you, right? Just apply and be like raising your hand. All this application is doing is saying raising your hand that I'm interested. And then Raul, I think, is here. He's been hanging out. Like he's gonna talk to you about where you're at, and we'll get you hooked up with the right vehicle and connections, right? If you want to do the full academy because you like really want a like guaranteed job offer and a guaranteed internship, like we have a full academy, but we also have the ability to peel off like just the beginning piece for you, and you can just pay monthly, right? It's no big deal. So we can totally do that. Yep. Super, super awesome. So just apply to raise your hand and express your interest, and then we're going to reach out to you. Again, this is like super small. There's not like this huge application process. It's just we need to know that you want in, and we want to make sure that we're setting you up for success inside the program because we're going to move fast and we want to make sure that you are ready for it. That's all. That's all. Text you. Oh, so Bonnie, text us at the link on the screen. Hold on. I can give you the phone number 848 600 5622. So if you have questions, right, just applying is the easiest way. If you apply, we will respond to you, right? Done. I wrote out the automations. We're going to start a conversation. Yes, there's a human on the other end, but we'll confirm your application with some automations and it lets me know. It lets me and Raul know, the team, that someone applied for this so we can do the due diligence and talk to you about finding the right fit. You should have gotten messages from us at this number. I think it's 848 600 5622. Again, this is not like signing your life away. Like literally it's your name and your number so that we can talk to you. Like that's it. Because again, this is the very first time we're offering it. And so it's going to be a lot more like hands-on, like do you, like we're going to help you assess yourself kind of thing. Like I am planning to have a very brief type of technical like interview piece if you've never had a technical interview or if we're uncertain about your level, right? I'll have a way that we can vet that quickly. But this is going to be the easiest time to join. Let me put it that way, because next time we're going to have more data on who rocked it and who didn't and what they need to have to be able to really thrive in this experience. So yeah, super awesome. So Bonnie asked a couple other questions. So do you have internships for WordPress, Elementor, and that go along with that, like SEO, creating themes from scratch? So Bonnie, we do have a freelancing program and we do have an internship in WordPress. So we do some of those things. We don't necessarily have like a very specific training program on them. The way it works in the academy is very specific to the internships that we do because we're giving students experience on their resume. So that's the Tech Joy Academy for beginners, and it helps them get their first tech job. Anywhere from like 60K to six figures is usually the target. So we do have an opportunity to offer internships in those things and give you a sandbox to play with, but we don't necessarily have specific trainings on those things. Like that's really like learning by doing. So I don't know if it's like the perfect fit for what you're looking for. The cost of the academy to hone specific skills. So we do have the academy is typically 7K, right? It has a job offer guarantee, it has a guaranteed internship, and we give you 18 months of support. However, right, some students want to learn very specific things, like it looks like you do, Bonnie. We also have a pathway, doesn't have a job guarantee where you can pay 397 a month. So I think, Kelly had mentioned being a beginner, right? If anyone is a beginner and wants to do the next cohort, you could potentially come into the academy, learn super fast, get to learn our community and our model of teaching at 397 a month, right? You can cancel anytime, it's all good. You won't have a job offer guarantee, right? And if you cancel before the internship, you wouldn't have it. But to be honest, the Tech Innovators program has that deep dive experience working on a team. And my first six-figure software developers in college, they didn't have an internship, they had that. Right? And so this is really mirroring a tried and true pathway that I've used before of teaching students. So you may not need the whole academy experience with that. That being said, they definitely reinforce each other because having that actual company on your resume, like we serve as references for our students, like we're their first job, right, as part of our internship. And we typically hire from within. So there is advantages of doing both. They're really like separate things, but because this is our very first time offering this ever, right? We just want to like get as many students exposure to it as possible. And so like we're allowing some discounts, some promotions, and some cross pollination, as it were. Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome, Bonnie. So we don't specifically have FAFSA financing. I have seen students use financing, but it's usually not through FAFSA. It's usually through an employer. Those tend to be more flexible. I don't think I've had any FAFSAs. I'm not positive though, because I have had students ask me for, I think it's if whatever company you use for financial aid allows supporting coding boot camps, then usually it works. Yep. Super great. Awesome. That's awesome, Bonnie. I love it. Like, it's all good. Like, you're definitely not the first techpreneur that in retirement that I've worked with, right? Like, so you're in good hands. You're in good hands. That's awesome. Such great questions, folks. Such great questions. Any other questions that I can answer for you guys tonight? This was awesome. You guys did incredible. So many good questions. I'm so excited for you guys. Like becoming an elite dev is like next level, right? It's awesome. It's really, really cool. So I think really at the end of the day, the decision is, do you want to become an elite dev? Do you want to have that breath? Do you want to learn from those amazing mentors and hear how they solve problems? Like imagine learning mobile development from the guy at Meta that was responsible for hiring all of the mobile developers for 5 years. Do you think he might have something to say about building mobile apps? Maybe, maybe, right? So, so I hope you guys will consider joining us. I think you'll have an absolutely incredible experience. Obviously, I'm designing it, so of course, I'm going to think it's awesome. But I also know that it's going to help you become an elite software developer because I've done this so many times. I've seen it so many times, right? Just helping people level up. And it really comes down to those two things: breadth, exposure to senior software engineers, and that depth of actually deploying something on a team end to end, but really getting in the room with the experts, right? That's really what it's all about. Awesome sauce, folks. So good to see you tonight. Oh, yes, absolutely, Bonnie. I do have a LinkedIn profile. I would just Google me, or you can text us and we can circle back with the link. I don't have it ready to go, but yeah, you can absolutely connect with us on LinkedIn. All good. Super awesome, folks. It was so great to see you tonight. Congratulations on showing up for yourself, on learning how to become a six-figure software developer, an elite software developer. Yes, my name's Dr. Emily Hill, Bonnie, just so you know, Dr. Emily Hill. Feel free to Google me, folks. I am a real person. I've got over 50 peer-reviewed publications. You can Google me on Google Scholar. Yes, I was actually an academic. I published for over 20 years before I said, heck with all this. There was a lot of politics. And I decided to start my own company instead. So, pretty awesome, folks. Awesome. So, thank you all so much for joining. Thank you for showing up, for you, for allowing me this opportunity to help share what I've learned in 20 years of how do you create elite software developers, right? Like, because they're created, right? They're not born, they're made. And you can be one too. Like that's the cool thing. And so hopefully you guys saw that tonight. All right. Please apply. If you haven't, if you're interested, please apply. And if not, I hope I'll get to see you soon after we kick off this program. Awesome. Yes, So yes, Bonnie, Dr. Emily Hill on Google Scholar. There's a couple Dr. Emily's. So you would look for Drew University or Montclair State or University of Delaware was my alma mater. And if you Google Dr. Emily Hill, I do have a professional page that should pull up like all my publications and my LinkedIn and stuff. So you should be able to find me. I just Googled it a couple days ago. It might not be top, but should be on the first page. Awesome sauce, folks. So, so good. And please, Bonnie, and anyone else, please don't hesitate to text us, right? Well, me and the team, we check those messages. We'll get back to you right as soon as we can. Please give us patience if you text us because we actually don't employ AI for that. We value having a human to respond to you. So it does occasionally take a little bit longer. So just so you know. But there's always a human that will get back to you. Awesome sauce, folks. So good to see everybody. I wish you the best of luck. I hope to see some of you soon. And I hope you have an awesome night. Take care. Have a good one.